Hello everybody, this is Yoko's Anime Reactions, and I'm actually checked the poll, and for the light novels, it looks like Rising of the Shield Hero has won. So, we are going to do some reading today. Hold on, I gotta check this phone real quick. Alright. Hang on. Okay, Rising of the Shield Hero. Let's get back to the first page. There we go. Okay. Hang on, let me open up something to wet my whistle a little bit. Oh, what the heck? I didn't pull this one out. What the heck? Hang on. Sorry, something messed up there. There we go. Alright. Chapter 1, A Royal Summons. Huh? I'd gone to the library to do a bit of reading. My name is Naofumi Iwatani, and I'm a sophomore in college. A sophomore, so if he graduated around 17, he'd be around 19 years old. 19, 20, somewhere around there. They have to be loud. Of course they've got to be loud. Sorry. I'm also aware that I am more of a nerd than the rest of my classmates. Oh my god, I wish they'd shut up. Ever since I first became interested in video games and anime and other otaku pastimes, I've given them more of my time than I gave my actual studies. Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't decide to go all out in video games and all that in college, or I would have ended up the same way. My parents knew this about me, and so they gave up on me early on. Instead, they sent my brother to a famous prep school in an effort to secure his future. But the pressure was too much for him. He got worn out with all the studying and turned into a troubled teen, dyeing his hair and yelling obscenities around the house. For a little while, the whole family was miserable, but then a savior appeared to save the day. Me! He was always scowling and mouthing off to everyone, but I had an ingenious plan up my sleeve. I suggested he try playing a game, a popular one. It was a dating simulator, the kind where you get to go on dates with cute girls. What the hell? Just try it. You don't have to commit to liking it. I said that because I knew the real reason he had turned into such a punk. When we were growing up, our parents had always given me whatever I asked for. But he had never received the same treatment. Oh, so Naofumi was the golden child in this situation. Sort of. Clearly the favorite, essentially. He wanted that freedom that I always had. I'm a specialist when it comes to having fun, though, so he was interested in the game I suggested, if only because he knew I was an authority on fun. Ignore that knock. He told me this himself later on down the line. I'll just skip right to the end. There's one more otaku in the world now. So his brother likes the stuff now. If you walked into his room now, you'd see posters and figurines from the very same game I introduced him to. Not only that, but he also rededicated himself to his studies, got into a great school, and is apparently at the top of his class. Yay, go Naofumi! And his brother. Why y'all gotta do this to me? At least they're not coming in my room. My parents were so happy about my intervention that they spoiled me even more as a result. So I'm currently leading a very free life as a college student. Okay, so that was a bit of a digression. I had gone to the library to do a bit of studying. Or a bit of reading. My parents gave me an allowance of 10,000 yen every month. 10,000 yen. How much is that in US dollars? Actually, let me look that up real quick. Let me go to Google. Let's see how much he gets a month in US dollars. Okay, 10,000 yen in US dollars is $90.91. So, okay. That's not a whole lot, to be completely honest, but I guess it's a whole lot for Japan? Whatever. The naughty games and magazines, light novels and manga that my friends and I go through eat up that allowance pretty quickly. I have a part-time job that brings in about 50,000 yen a month. So I'm guessing that's 5 times that, so that's about, let's see, about $90, that's, around $450 a month, okay? So he essentially has around $540 a month he gets to play with. Which is great, but the various festivals I take part in during the summer and winter months use all that money as well. My brother is not the sort of person to go out of his way to participate in a festival. My parents rent a room for us near the festival grounds to encourage his participation. Well, whatever. They have their own lives to live, so they can't give me all that much money. That's fine. They try to help cover tuitions and rents, so that's plenty. So whenever I need to earn money when I don't have all that much, I go to used bookstores or to the library to read. If I have free time, I like to play games online, but if you really want to be good at them, there's no end to how much time you could sink into a character. Besides, I consider myself a jack of all trades, and I'm not really the type to invest all my time in one particular thing. That, and even when I do get into a game, I don't really care about leveling up my character. I just end up obsessed with gathering money in the virtual world. Even as I'm writing these words, I have characters and rare items that I collected up for sale. Right, what? So this is supposed to be written by Naofumi? Okay. Thanks to those sales, I somehow managed to secure free time for myself in the real world. Okay then, as I was there at the library when all this craziness started. Sorry. I was looking over an old bookshelf in the corner that was dedicated to fantasy novels. I think that fantasy has a history, or at least as long as recorded human history. I mean, if you really think about it, even the Bible is a type of fantasy novel. The records of the 4 holy weapons. This really old-looking book just fell off a shelf. The title was pretty hard to make out, and I guess whoever had been reading it last hadn't taken the time to put it back securely. Whatever. Figuring it was probably destiny, I brought it back to the table and sat down and opened it. Flip. Flip. It was the kind of book that starts off by telling you about the fantasy world itself. To sum it up, it seemed to be about a different world, one with an apocalyptic prophecy to worry about. The prophecy said that many waves of great destruction would wash over the world until nothing was left. To stave off disaster and escape destruction, the people would call for heroes from another world to come and save them, or something like that anyway. Well, the idea seems pretty cliche now, but something about the book being that old felt ironically fresh. So the 4 heroes each possessed a weapon: sword, spear, bow, and shield. I started to wince at the content. I mean, when you think about it, a shield is not even a weapon at all. Anyway, I started to skim ahead. The 4 of them went on a journey to train, gather strength, perfect themselves, and stop the prophesied destruction of the world. Excuse me. My head jerked. I'd nearly fallen asleep in my seat. It was all too much. Oh my god. I was yawning, and the book was so out of fashion. Okay, my mom got it. It was so old-fashioned. I mean, there was no cute heroines at all. The only girl was the princess, and she was horrible because she was manipulative and obsessed with the heroes. She kept casting flirtatious glances at all of them, pitting them against each other. I wish she would just pick one of them to focus on. Yeah, I know. Leave all the others alone. The sword hero was active and powerful. The spear hero valued and protected his friends, and the bow hero would never tolerate injustice. All the heroes were good people and great personalities. There aren't many stories like that these days. You know, the kind where all the characters share the protagonist spotlight? What's this? The story was shifting to talk about the shield hero. Huh? I turned the page and let out an involuntary yelp. All the pages after the introduction of the shield hero were blank. I kept flipping, kept looking them over. They were all blank white pages. There was nothing else in the book. What the heck? I was thinking over how strange it all was when I started to feel dizzy. Huh? I heard my own bewildered whisper and felt my consciousness slipping away. I'd never dreamed that I'd be transported to another world. Oh boy. I imagine all the others ended up, in the same situation, just with each of their heroes, obviously. Or their weapons, obviously. Oh wow. I heard the sound of people marveling at something and suddenly was awake again. My eyes weren't ready to focus on anything, but I pointed them straight ahead anyway. There were men in robes looking at me in awe and apparently speechless. What's all this? I turned in the direction of the voice and discovered 3 other people there. Like myself, they didn't seem to know what was going on. I scratched my head. I'd been in the library only moments before, but then why? Just where was I? I flipped my head left and right and found that I was in a room. The walls were made of stone. Is that what they call brick? Regardless, I don't think it was anywhere I had been before, and it certainly was not the library. I looked at the floor. It was covered in geometric patterns that had been painted in some sort of fluorescent material. There was also an altar of some kind. It looked like something magical and straight out of a fantasy. We were standing on the altar. Wait a second. Why was I holding a shield? I was holding a shield. It was feather light and fit my hand perfectly. I couldn't figure out why I was holding it, though as I went to put it down, only to find out I was unable to do so. It was like it was stuck to me. Where are we? Just as I was wondering the same thing, the man next to me, the one carrying a sword, asked some men in robes, "Oh, heroes, please save our world." What? The 4 of us shouted in unison. What is that supposed to mean? But the appeal of the robed men sounded familiar, like something I'd read on the internet. There are many complications to this situation, but to offer a simple answer to your question, we have just completed an ancient ceremony and summoned you 4 heroes. Summoned? Yes, that was it. That was a really good chance that it was all some prank, but there seemed nothing wrong with hearing them out. Besides, it's more fun to be pranked than to prank someone else anyway. I don't mind that sort of thing. I think it's fun. Our world teeters on the brink of destruction, heroes. Please lend us your strength, said the robed men, bowing very deeply to us. Well, it wouldn't hurt to... I began to reply, but the other 3 guys spoke up quickly. I don't think so. Yeah, me neither. We can go back to our world, right? Or talk about your problems after that. Whoa. What? Did they think it was okay to speak to someone like that? Someone that was bowing to us out of desperation? Why wouldn't they save their conclusions till after they heard the bulk of the situation? I glared at them in silence, and soon the 3 of them were looking me over. What were they smiling about? We could all feel the room growing tense. What jerks! I bet they were actually happy to be there. Think about it. What if it was true? They'd get the chance to have adventures in another world. It'd be a dream come true. Sure, it's a cliche, but still, couldn't we at least hear them out? I mean, yeah, worst case you don't like it. The guy with the sword looked like he might have been in high school. He pointed his sword at the road men and nearly shouted, "Don't you feel any guilt for calling people into your world without their permission?" Besides, said the guy with the bow, even if we save you and bring peace to your world, you'll just send us back home, right? That just sounds like a job to me. He was glaring at the robed men. I wonder how much you've considered our opinion on this. I wonder how it could be worth our while. Depending on how the conversation goes, keep in mind we might end up enemies of your world. So that's how it was. That's what they wanted. This is when they try to figure out their standing and demand a reward. Well, they certainly were an outspoken, confident bunch. I felt like I was somehow losing to them. Yes, well, we would very much like you to speak to the king. We will discuss future compensation with you in the throne room. One of the robed men, apparently their leader, leaned against a very heavy-looking door until it opened, at which point he pointed in the direction we were to go. Whatever, fine. I don't think it really matters who we talk to, but whatever. I don't like these guys already. My outspoken companions complained as they left the room in the direction indicated. I didn't want to be left alone, so I followed them out. We walked out of the darkened room and down a hallway made of stone. How should I describe it? The air felt fresh, and I couldn't think of any other words for it. Vocabulary has never been my strong suit. We were able to steal a glance through a window, and the scenery took our breath away. The clouds were high in the sky for as far as you could see. There below us, a town spread out from the building we were in. All the houses were lined up neatly, just like one of those European cities you'd see featured in a travel brochure. I wanted to pause for a minute and take it all in, but there was no time. We would hurry past the window and down the hall, and soon enough we arrived at the throne room. Huh? So these kids are the 4 holy heroes? An important-looking older man was sitting there on the throne. He leaned forward as he spoke. He didn't make a good first impression on me. I just can't stand people who condescend. Oh, I have no idea which Roman number that is, so let me know in the comments, please. My name is Altcray Melromar, the whatever, and I rule these lands. Heroes, show me your faces. I somehow managed to resist the urge to yell, "We're already looking at you." I mean, what do you mean by show them your faces? They're not like wearing masks or anything. But I caught myself just in time. I guess he was in a position of authority, and he seemed to be a king of some sort. Now then, I shall begin with an explanation. This country, No, this whole world is on the brink of destruction. It seemed like a rather regal introduction. The other guys with me spoke up. Well, I guess that makes sense considering you'd call us from another world. Yeah, figures. I'll try to summarize the king's story. There was a prophecy about the end of the world. Many waves would appear, and they would wash over the world again and again until nothing remained. Unless the waves were repelled and their accompanying calamities avoided, the world was doomed. The prophecy was from long ago, though the time it spoke of was now, this very moment. There was also a large and ancient hourglass called a dragon hourglass that would signal the times. The dragon hourglass predicted the arrival of the waves, and its sands began to fall 1 month ago. According to legend, the waves will come in 1-month intervals. In the beginning, the citizens of the land mocked the legends. However, when the sands in the dragon hourglass began to fall, a great calamity visited the land. A fissure appeared in the country. Melremark, a fissure in another dimension. Terrifying and horrifying creatures crawled out from it in great numbers. Oh, I'm guessing that's the wave. At the time, the country's knights and adventurers were able to repel the advance of the creatures, but the next wave was prophesied to be even more terrible. At this rate, the country, having no way to ward off the impending disaster, was doomed. Considering the situation nearly hopeless, the kingdom decided to summon heroes from another world. That about sums it up. Oh, by the way, it seems like the legendary weapons enabled us to understand the language of that world. Alright, said one of my companions. I think I understand where you're coming from, but does that mean you basically are commanding us to help you? Seems all fine and good. For you. I agree. All this sounds pretty self-centered to you. If your world is on the road to destruction, just let it burn. I don't see what it has to do with us. Jerk. I mean, they need help. Of course they're going to try and get someone to help them. I could tell by the condescending giggle he struggled to hide that he secretly thought that this was all really cool. Yeah, I still think that's a jerky move, but let me know what you guys think about that. Well, I can understand them being annoyed at being taken from their world to another world to basically help some people you've never met to save it from destruction. I can understand how that'd be annoying, but they might not even be able to send you back yet. Well, it was my turn to speak up next. As they have said, we don't have a responsibility to help you. If we dedicate our time and lives to bringing peace to your kingdom, do we get anything besides a thanks and see you later? I mean, I guess what I really want to know is there a way for us to get home? Could you tell me anything about that? The king shot his vassal a sideways glance. Of course we are planning on compensating you for all your efforts. The heroes, including myself, pumped our fists in celebration. Yes! Phase 1 of negotiations was complete. Naturally, continued the king, I have made arrangements to support you financially and also to provide you with whatever you may require in thanks for your efforts on our behalf. Oh yeah, cool. Well, as long as you'll promise us that, I don't think we'll have a problem. Don't think you bought us off. As long as we aren't enemies, I'll help you out, though. Agreed. Me too. Why do they have to act so superior all the time? Think about where we are. Do you really want to make an enemy of the king? No, you do not. No, and that actually ends up happening later, but whatever. Still, I guess it was good to get all the particulars out of the way in advance rather than risk losing everything down the road. Very well then, heroes, tell us your names. Wait a second, I just noted something. Didn't all this sound similar to the book I'd been reading in the library, The Records of the 4 Holy Weapons? A sword, spear, bow, and yes, a shield. Even the 4 heroes were the same. Could I have somehow gotten pulled into the world of that book? I was starting to mull these things over when the kid with the sword hero, stepped forward and introduced himself. My name is Ran Amaki. I am 16 years old and a high school student. Okay, so he is in high school. Okay. The sword hero Ran Amaki, who was an attractive young guy. His face was handsome and he was relatively short, maybe 160 centimeters. If he cross-dressed, you'd mistake him for a girl. Okay, that's funny. That's funny. Oh boy. I know this, apparently the light novel is really dark in comparison to the anime, and that's saying something, to be completely honest. But so far, we haven't seen it yet, but obviously it'll happen. You'd mistake him for a girl in an instant. His face was so composed, his hair was black and cut short, his eyes were sharp, and his skin was white. Overall, he gave off a cool impression, like a quick, slender swordsman. Alright, I'll go next. My name is Monoyasu Kitamura. I'm 21 and a college student. Oh god, this asshat. I can't wait till we get to the part where, shoot, I'm blanking on her name. The girl with the wings. I can't wait till she kicks him in the balls. I hope it happens in here. I'm gonna laugh. The spear hero Motoyasu Kitamura, he came off as lighthearted and kind, something like an older brother. His face was at least as well kept as Ren's, the type of guy who was sure to have a girlfriend or two. Or two, really? He was probably around 170 centimeters. His hair was pulled back into a ponytail. I normally don't like ponytails on men, but it seemed to suit him. Overall, he seemed like a caring older brother. Okay, my turn. I'm Itsuki Kawasumi. I'm 17 and I'm still in high... Okay, so those two are still in high school. Okay, they did kind of look young. The bow hero Itsuki Kawasumi. He looked like the calm, piano-playing sort of character. How do I explain it? He seemed vain, and yet at the same time, he held some unrevealed strength. There was something indefinite about him. Something vague. He was the shortest among us, probably somewhere around 155 centimeters. His hairstyle was slightly wavy, as if it had been permed. He was like a soft-spoken younger brother. Apparently we were all Japanese. I would be pretty surprised if any of the others turned out not to be anyway. Oh, my turn already. I guess I'm last. My name is Naofumi Iwatani. I'm 20 years old and a college student. The king looked down at me condescendingly. I felt goosebumps crawl up and down my spine. Oh, here we go. Now then. Here we go, everybody. I'm tempted to keep track of how many times this guy just treats Naofumi like a piece of dirt. I think it's already starting. Now then, Ren, Motsuyasu, and Itsuki, correct? Your Grace, you've forgotten me. Ah, yes, pardon me, Mr. Naofumi. So the old guy was a little slow on the uptake, but, I was still feeling somehow out of place among all of them. And now he forgot to include me on such a short list? Now then, heroes, please confirm your status and give yourself an objective evaluation. Huh? What did he mean by status? Excuse me, but how are we supposed to evaluate ourselves? Asked Itsuki. Ren sighed loudly like he couldn't be bothered to explain it to us. You mean to say that you all haven't figured it out yet? Didn't you realize it the moment you arrived here? Oh, come on, he just knew everything. Was that it? I guess he was some kind of genius. I mean, he went on, have you noticed any weird icons hanging around in your peripheral vision? Huh? But since he mentioned it, if you looked off vaguely towards the edges of your field of vision, there were little marks there. I could see them too. Just focus your mind on that icon. I did, and I heard a soft beep just like I was sitting in front of a computer, and the icon expanded to take over my field of vision. It was like opening an internet browser. Naofumi Iwatani, Class, Shield Hero Level 1. Equipment, Small Shield, Legendary Weapon, Other World Clothes, Skills none, Magic none. There were still quite a few things listed, but I decided to ignore them for the moment. So this is what the king meant by status. Wait, just what the hell was all this? It felt like I was in a game. Level 1. That makes me nervous. Good point. At this rate, who knows if we'll even be able to fight at all? What is all this? Do these things not exist in your world? Because heroes, you are experiencing status magic. Everyone in this world can see and use it. Really? I was amazed at how normal everyone seemed to think it was. This numerical expression of your physical body, and what are we supposed to do? These numbers seem awfully low. Yes, well, you will need to go on a journey to further polish your abilities and to strengthen the legendary weapons you possess. Strengthen them? You mean these things aren't strong right from the get-go? No! That is correct. The summoned heroes must raise their legendary weapons by themselves. That is how they will grow strong. Motoyasu was spinning his spear and thinking, why don't we just use different weapons while these ones are bulking up? Seems smart to me. It did seem like a good idea, and besides, I was stuck with a shield, not even a weapon in its own right. I better get another weapon. Ren cut in to clarify. We can work all that out later on. Right now, we should focus on improving ourselves just like the king has asked us to do. It was so exciting. We were heroes summoned from another world. It felt a little like manga, but any otaku worth his salt would jump at a chance. Like this. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I couldn't get myself to calm down. It looked like the other heroes around me felt the same way. Are we going to form a party, the four of us? Wait just a moment, heroes. Just as we were preparing to set out on an adventure, the king spoke again. The four of you should set out separately to recruit your own companions. Why is that? According to the legends, he began, the legendary weapons you possess will interfere with one another should you form a party. Both your weapons and yourselves can only grow when you are apart. That don't make no sense. I don't really understand it all that, but if we stay together, we can't level up, right? Huh? Everyone found instructions for their weapons. We all began to read at the same time. Attention, the legendary weapons and their owners will experience adverse effects if they fight together. Okay, that don't make no sense at all. Caution, it is preferable that the heroes remain separated when possible. I guess it's true then. So I thought when I heard this the first time, I thought he was just pulling it out of his ass to keep the shield hero weak. But no, apparently it's true. Why did all this sound so much like a game? It was like I'd been transported into a game. Anyway, games don't feel this real, and there were real humans living here, so I guess it was still a reality of one kind or another. Still, the system reminded me of a game nonetheless. The instructions for the weapons went on at great length and detail, but there wasn't enough time to read them right now. So you think we should try to form our own parties? I will attempt to secure travel companions for you all. Regardless, evening draws near. Heroes, you should rest for the night and prepare for departure in the morning. In the meantime, I will find companions for you from the village below. Thank you very much. Thanks. We all thank the king and retire to our own rooms for the night. I'm already on chapter 3. Dang. Hang on. Let me see how far I've gotten recording-wise. Okay. I think I'm going to take in this part here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.